Hello, everybody, and welcome to a meeting of friends. Our meeting here this morning, this early morning, this middle of the night, depending which one of us you're looking at. We wanted to share some stories today around sacred sites. So we're coming from three places. Tanya's coming from Colorado, Heather's in Africa, and I'm on the East Coast in Pennsylvania. We're doing this as part of the celebration of water for Water World, the World Water Law, which you'll hear about more during this day that this will air on the 22nd, and water and sacred sites in general. So what we wanted to share today were just some stories. We wanted to do some storytelling about different sacred sites that we've been involved with or moved by or connected to, and offer what we have here for all of you to hear. We're just going to go into the stories and see where this goes. We decided that spirit needed to guide us, and so there's no structure. There's just the three of us. We can each introduce ourselves as we come up a little bit, however we feel is necessary. And we're going to start with Heather because she's right close to one of the incredibly powerful water sources on the planet. Heather, it's yours.
So my name is Heather Cumming, and I live in a very remote village doing a project, actually trying to help people get clean drinking water, among other things. But my daughter and I come to Livingston. It's a town about 10, 15, maybe not even 15 minutes from the town is the Zimbabwean-Zambian border. And there you have Victoria Falls, which is actually shared between Zambia and Zimbabwe. And we come here every few months to use the electricity and the internet to do our reports and communicate with project supporters and just kind of reconnect with people for our project. So every time we come here, we go visit the falls, and to me, it's a medicinal part of our project. We can't do our work without that site. So, Jim, should I just start talking about the falls? And you can cut me off whenever.
Why don't you take us on a tour? Take us on one of the walks you've done, or just bring us into the falls.
I'm gonna say that maybe about 45 minutes before, if you're driving in a vehicle and the road is paved, about 45 minutes before you actually reach the town itself, you can start feeling the waterfall. You can start picking up on its energy. The energy from it expands in a very wide, it's the right word, not circumference, diameter, radius from the site itself. I don't know how I would even explain the energy other than that is so powerful that you know something is waiting, something is there. And then maybe 5-10 minutes outside of the town, you can see the mist from the falls before you even, you're in the bush, you're driving through on this road, and in the distance, you can see the spray off of the falls. And that's why they named it in our local language, Mosi Otunya. It means the smoke that thunders, because with the thundering of the water, it looked like smoke, when really it's, it's mist from a waterfall, but it looks like smoke. It is hard to decipher what is more powerful at the falls, is the water or the rainforest which surrounds it, because there's so much dry in the bush coming to the site of the falls, and then at the falls there's rainforest. I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but I think the Zambian side of Victoria Falls is 1.6 kilometers, and then like 0.5. Again, I'm sure my numbers are off slightly, but 0.5 or 0.6 kilometers is the Zimbabwean side. So that we have a long stretch of waterfall, and Zimbabwe got a very small portion, but the Zimbabwean side is always wet. They have water flowing throughout the year. And on our side, it starts going dry, depending on the rainfall the year before. The falls goes dry about August, September. By October, there's no water. It's just a rock wall. So I always say that for we local people, that waterfall is so powerful with or without the water. You don't need the water for it to be the falls. For a tourist, I don't know, because they've traveled across the world to see a waterfall, so it would never be the same. But for me, I could consider myself a local person. I can go any time of year. I don't care what water is on that. It is so powerful. It's an energetic vortex. The best way I can describe it is that people, when they enter, they carry whatever mood or whatever trauma, whatever thing that's dragging them down. They carry that into the falls with them. And then when they leave, it's like they're somehow purified and they're glowing. It's the essence of purity. The water itself is so clean. I was about to drink it and my daughter yelled at me, but we always collect it when we go, and I take it home and I have it on my shrine and I put it here and everywhere. And I'm probably going to end up drinking it just because I don't care if I get sick, because I just want to drink the falls. But and I've done that many times and I have not gotten sick, by the way. But so the water itself is pure, but the energy channel of it, it's like a spine in the earth. It's straight and it's pure, and it has all of these nerves that go out into other spaces, other places and other spaces, very far reaching, I think. I've always said, there's powerful, beautiful waterfalls all around the world. But why has this one been named one of the 7 wonders of the world? I don't know that I would say it's the most beautiful waterfall I've ever seen. I don't think that it is. There's something about it. It's energetic. It's metaphysical. What I've noticed is that pure love, pure light, cosmic energy that we all work to tap into, that's so difficult on this 3rd dimension, I guess you'd call it, the dimension of power, control, money, vanity, blah, 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 and blah, that we're all living on, but it can't ever make any of us happy. because it's for our ego, and our ego is never going to make us happy. So whatever we achieve in this realm is just, it's a false zone, I should say. When we as human beings have that potential, should we choose to tap into that higher energetic vibration, which is nature, and it's available, it's all around us all the time. It doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter. It's in the trees, it's in the grass, it's in the air, it's in the sun, it's in the moon and the stars. However, there's certain places where the human energy, which is generally scattered, I can see it, it's not, it lacks that purity. It's scattered, it's confused, it's very chaotic. The more that human energy dissipates and you get into these zones like Zion National Park, Sequoia, and I mean, there's countless places on the planet that are like this, where the human energy is dissipated and it's just raw Mother Earth, the raw power, the raw purity of the Mother Earth. We as humans have a gift that we can channel into that, we can tap into that, but it requires a surrender. Like I said, you enter the falls, you leave your garbage, or the falls just takes it away, you know? And often when I go to the falls, I just sit there. I stare at a blade of grass. I can stare at the water as it's coming down. It looked like lace. It looks like lace. As it tumbles down, it stops even looking like water. It just looks like a white, lacy, we just sit and concentrate, and concentration at the same time, complete abandonment, like a complete, I guess, surrender. And suddenly you are the blade of grass. You are the water. You're not even like, I am Heather. No, it's, you become the water, you become the earth, you know. There isn't a separation. You are that flower, you know. And then of course, like, I'll just go for hours with my daughter, just taking it all in and just being with this, and people will come by. This is very interesting. There are some people that you don't even know are standing near you. Their energy is already merged with that cosmic divinity energy, that pure nature channel. I've had times where I've just been sitting with my eyes closed, and I open my eyes and there's somebody there, and we just smile at each other, right? Then there's other times where you just get sort of a jolt, and it's like a group of people, and you can feel all that ego energy, like the boy and girl flirting, insecure stuff. You can feel like a big family or something. You can feel the sort of discombobulated energy of whatever's going on in that family. And then there's other people that it's like a jolt and you're scared, not in the sense of you're worried the, you know, person has a, you know, got a knife or something. That's not what I mean. But it's just so, the energy is so disturbed that when it moves into the pure energy zone, which is that connection to the falls and the water, it's like, whoa. And you almost feel like you need to like take a step, you know, it jolts you. And that's what I've noticed about human energy, is that we do have that ability, and that we're in a position where we can, in any moment's time, any moment, connect to that nature source, purity, cosmic divine energy at any time it's available to us. It's like Dorothy clicking her red ruby slippers. She could go home anytime. She just didn't know it. And we have that. And to me, the more we can be with nature, like be with it. Like, you don't just go to a park, sit there, sit there with your phone and check your messages. And no. There's no phone. There's no kid. If you're there with your kid, keep an eye or whatever, but it's you with the nature. There's none of this distraction. You are with it. You're feeling the tree. You know the tree because you are the tree. You go to the river. You go to the Grand Canyon. You go to the ocean. There's no separation. There's nothing. There can't be. If you're going to be with something, you're just with it. You leave you behind, and what is your essence is what is with that pure energy source. So the falls, to wrap this up, it's a place of immense energy. It's a place of immense purity. The magnitude of it is, it's like the Grand Canyon or the ocean. It's utterly vast, it's wide, it's deep, it's profound. And I don't know where the whole continent of Africa would be without it. I think it sources energy like, the Nile or the Zambezi River, like these water bodies, they sort of source energy to all of the land, not just water itself, but energy source. So I think that's it. I could talk forever, but for now, that's it. Thank you for listening.
Wow, that's awesome. What a great way to start us off. I could feel the waters as you spoke, and we'll be talking about various sacred sites. And it's a good reminder, sacred sites come in a lot of different packages. There's the natural ones, as Heather was talking about. There's some that are brick and mortar. Most of them have some water element, as I've discovered as I travel around. And I'm just letting things flow through me as we do this. And I still have no idea what I'm going to talk about. But luckily, Tanya's next. I'm not sure what she's going to talk about, but I think it's time to move there. Before we do, I just want to add quickly that we will be putting this up for World Water Law, World Water Week, World Water Day on the 22nd, and inviting everyone to watch. And then we'll spread it around to other things that are going off. If you want to know more about World Water Law, you'll hear about it on that day from some of us. But you can go to Codes for a New Earth and look for World Water Law. Read it. It's the Earth Mother asking us to have a natural law that allows the water to be pure again, to be healed again, so we can be healed again. The other place we'll put it, I think, also, and I just want to mention this, sacredearthactivism.org. That's a site that is also heavily engaged with protecting sacred sites around the planet, right now focused on Stonehenge, which is another story in itself. So just to put that in there, to bring in friends and relatives around the globe who are doing similar things. Ugh, I need more coffee. Anyway, let's shift it over to Tanya in the mountains of Colorado.
Thank you, Jim. And thank you, Heather, for the beautiful story. That was really, I could, like Jim said, I could really feel the water. What a wonderful place to be near. I would love to see that sometime. When we were preparing for the topic and talking about sacred sites, I had all of a sudden so many ideas and so many places that popped up from Kauai, and you talked about the Grand Canyon, Sedona, and like all these places. There are so many. And I decided on a spiritual place that I visited last year. I was fortunate enough to go there right before lockdown, and that is an ashram in India. And it's interesting because preparing for that trip, I was kind of going back and forth, and should I go on this trip? Should I not go? So all these things, I'm an introvert. There's going to be a ton of people. Am I going to be able to deal with all of that? Right. Like, so I was a little skeptical, and yeah, not so sure. And luckily I went because it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And we arrived there on in an afternoon, and my first experience of it was it's called, first of all, it's called Sri Puram Pedam. It's about 2 hours, I think it was, inland from Chennai, so southern India. And when we arrived in the afternoon, it was hot, and we were all just like putting our baggage down and getting ourselves sorted. And the first thing we were going to do was to visit the temple next door. We were staying at the ashram, and the temple, Golden Temple, was right next door. And it was created by Amma. Amma had at some point knew when she was, I believe when she was 14 or 16 already, that she was going to lead a path of bringing peace and love to the world, and that she was going to create this center for people to come, this spiritual center for people to come to and sort of recharge. And that's what she did. So she decided on where the spot was of where that temple was going, and there was some appearance of an object. I believe, I'm sorry, I'm not getting all all those pieces straight anymore, but there was something that appeared and that she knew was going to appear, and people showed up for it, and something appeared out of the sands, a statue, I believe, or something, and that was the site that was going to be picked for this sacred temple. And nature affirmed it by ants building this massive anthill. It is really huge. I went and saw it. It is amazing. And this is the way they say that nature affirms things when something like that appears. So we had those two things happening. And so eventually, with over time, temple got created. So now we're there. It's a Friday night and really hot out, and we were going to go into this temple and walk the star path. All around the temple is this path, which is the form of a star. And you walk it in a specific direction. And there are a ton of people. And it's super crowded. Everybody comes in to be there and get the energy of this. And then at the center of it is that Golden Temple. And on your way there, you pass through several other smaller temples, and there are rituals and there are ceremonies, and all of these things are happening. It's really quite a sight when you come in and you have not experienced that before. It was walking through a ceremony with a cow, and then we went on to another piece, and then another temple. And eventually we ended up at the Golden Temple, which has some water around it. And as we were approaching the temple, I didn't even know what was happening. All of a sudden, I just felt tears coming down. And I thought, that's so interesting. I'm not even sure what's happening, right? But I'm crying because I was so moved and I was so overwhelmed. There was such an unbelievable feeling of peace, love, oneness. It was incredible. and nothing, we weren't in any kind of ceremony yet. We're shuffling like shoulder by shoulder, right, through the masses, through this star path. And it just still was so incredibly moving. And I look around and almost everyone around me is crying. And I just couldn't believe it. So there's your first connection to water right there. We're all crying around this temple and just being overwhelmed by the beauty of the energy there. So moving. And then the other connection to water there is there are many rituals that are being done every day, the pujas that are taking place there every day. And it's the, oh, I can't think of the word right now. Amma and people who work there and give service there do rituals with the statues that are there, the statues of the deities. And what they do is they pour different things over the statues, and it's quite a long ceremony. And they pour over, a lot of it is food or liquid like cacao or water. And all of these things are being poured over the statues to cleanse them, to charge them, to energize them. And I went to one of the ceremonies on, I think it was the next day. I had no idea what to expect. And we're sitting in this tiny, mini little room. It was boiling hot in there because the middle of the day. And Amma came to perform this ceremony. And the statue was probably at least 10, 12 feet tall. So Amma has a ladder to go pour all these things over the statue, and so starts out with some kind of yellow substance, right? And then it's some kind of chocolatey substance, and all these liquids going over the statue to charge it and to cleanse it and to do offerings, and bananas, mashed bananas, right? It was so interesting. And throughout this whole thing, this is a stone statue, right? Throughout this whole ceremony, I was just sitting there, and you kind of go into, I went into some kind of a trance. So I was just watching that. And again, I was found myself crying in the middle of that because it was so touching, seeing how these, the men who cared for this, the men who worked there, were so, it was such deep service, you know. It's so hard to explain. It was such an act of love, what they were doing there in covering the statue and in performing these rituals, that it was, I could feel it, you know. It was really moving, and it was such a, oh my God, what if everybody treated each other with that level of respect and love? Imagine the world we could have if that was a day-to-day thing for us all. Incredibly moving. And towards the end of it, I personally swear that the face of the statue changed. Now, these are stone statues, right? And it had just like a regular face, you know, and by the end of it, the statue was smiling. And they do say, I had a conversation with somebody about this because, of course, I'm looking at a stone statue and I'm going, this doesn't really make sense in my, you know, normal Western mind. And I had conversations with people, and they all affirmed that they've had similar experiences. And one of the things we learned is actually that the statues are living beings. And with so much devotion and so much love being given to them, they do change. And the frequencies and the energy that is in that temple is just so, so, so incredible. So what happens at the end of that, when all of these substances, water and cacao and what have you, all these things are caught in a basin that's on the bottom of the statue, and then they bottle it, right? They fill it up, put it in little bottles, and everybody who's attended the ceremony gets an offering of a small bottle of that liquid, which is called tirdam. And you can either drink it or put it over your head or use it in the shower. And it's sort of sacred water that's infused with the energies of the temple, infused with the energies of the ceremony, and infused with love and peace. And yeah, so everybody who leaves can get a little bottle to go. And you can also, by the end of the ceremony, you go up to the whoever's performing the ceremony. In that case, it was Amma, and you actually get a little bit of liquid. I think you walk up, you have your hands out, and they give you a little bit of liquid in your hand, and you get to drink it right then and there. And that too, same thing. Again, I'm in tears again, just walking up there, right? It's just incredible. And I could not imagine, I've heard people talk about this before, but I just could not imagine that the energies would be so strong and it would be such an overwhelming feeling of love and peace. It's all I keep saying the same thing because that's what it was. It was as simple as that and as amazing as that, overwhelming feeling of love and peace. And so we would each day go to a puja and get our little water bottles and either shower with them or drink them and just have that be a very, very special part of our experience there. And it was wonderful to experience that. We went with sort of a spiritual group, and it was wonderful to experience that in that small group and soak all that in. And then me as an introvert, like I said in the beginning, in a temple with that many people, I mean, I just walked around smiling all around, right? And just wanting to hug everyone and kiss everyone because everybody is so beautiful. And I just cannot even describe it, right? And usually I'm like, okay, here's my space, here's your space. Let's stay in our spaces. And it just was not at all like that there. It was similar to what you described with nature, with we're all one, we're connected to it, you become that. It's like we became each other, we became one, you weren't separate, right? You would look up and there's this child, I don't know, playing, and you just think, oh my God, and you could feel that, you could be that, and just connect with people on a completely different level. There were no words needed. And like you said earlier, Heather, you would look up and somebody's just smiling at you. It was just an incredibly enriching experience for me. So yeah, this is one of the sacred sites that I chose. There's many, many more, but I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. And I just feel so blessed that I was able to go there and that we got there just in the nick of time before borders closed, before lockdown happened and all of that, and took away so much nourishment for this last year. Because anytime things get difficult or I get challenged, I can now tap into that energy I felt there and that I had, and feel that connection. And anytime, even just sitting here, or if I want, like you said, Heather, earlier, I go out in nature and I look at the little waterways around my my complex here, or I go look at a tree or what have you and connect that way. But having had that foundation last year, that deep connection has really helped me with all the things that were happening this last year, all the lockdown, and don't need to go into it. You all know, you've all been there. So yeah, thank you for having me on here and letting me share my experience with this.
Wow, beautiful. So, two different types of sacred places. And Tanya just said, you all know, and you've all had those experiences. If you haven't, it's time to get out there. Sacred sites don't have to be the falls that Heather's talking about, the temple that Tanya's talking about. They could be something near you, close to you, something that may only be sacred to you. It doesn't matter. It is all connected. The Mayan saying that came as Tanya was talking, I am you and you are me. That's what it's talking about. We are all connected. It doesn't matter if we're introverts or extroverts or whatever else we are. When we come to these places, they have power. And so already this morning, I've stood under the falls. Heather's talking, and she mentioned the ruby shoes and being able to go home. And I was smiling inside because just before she did that, I was envisioning the falls in The Wizard of Oz and thinking, don't pay any attention to that little man behind the falls. And then, boom, in came The Wizard of Oz. So these things really are all connected. And it's part of what we're doing too as White Otter Academy. So anyone who wants to connect up with that project, go to teachable.com and look for White Otter Academy, or go on Facebook and look up Storytellers Lodge. There's a lot of us there now, and we'll be doing more and more of these stories as we go along. The stories are so important right now, especially, again, as Tanya was talking about the lockdown. It stopped us from going out there. So we need to be able to go there in our heart and our spirit, in our mind too, but mostly in our heart. So just capture these, and we will continue to bring them and bring them to everybody else as we go along. Let's remind each other how important these sacred sites are. And as as the two of them were talking, and especially as um, Tanya was finishing up on hers, I wasn't sure where I was going to take everybody this morning. And I was thinking of Sedona, where I lived for a while and visited many sacred sites there. I was thinking of other places around the world. I was thinking of the Teaching Rock and Hopi Land, on and on and on. And one place that hadn't come to me was Belize in Central America. And I shifted right there as Tanya was talking. I'm not sure why, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to invite you to go to Belize with me in Central America below Mexico. It's a special place. It is about 2/3 protected area, both land and sea. It's the second largest coral reef in the world behind Australia. On and on and on. I could talk about Belize for a long time. I was there extensively, mostly in the 90s, doing a lot of work, teaching, spiritual work, learning. I was a student of elders there. But what I was thinking about was one of my trips there. Early on, I believe, I was visiting some of the temples in Belize because a friend's father was the head of antiquities. And so I was able to go as they were uncovering some of these sacred places. And each one always had a water element in the middle, and it had a medicine wheel. That seemed to be common to each and every one. And I've seen that around the globe. And so I was there visiting some of these sacred sites and staying for long periods with teachers and elders. And I decided to go to the marine preserve. And again, about 2/3 of the water in and around Belize is also protected. So it's Holchan Marine Preserve. It's an incredible place. There's different levels of protection, but I was going out with some of the staff from the preserve. I was with the university at the time, and we went out into the heavily protected area, and we took snorkeling equipment with us, and they were going to let me snorkel in places where you don't usually get to go. They knew I was educated in that, and I would be careful, and they were with me to stop me if I did anything that should not be done in such a beautiful sacred place. And so we got ready. I am not good with heights. And so whenever I snorkel, I get a little nervous if it's a big drop below me. But we got into the water and we started swimming, and we're looking here and there. I'm mostly looking down at this incredible array of tropical fish, just all moving below me. And then the sharks came below me. It's known as Shark Alley. And they were large. And I had a fear of sharks, but for some reason on this day, they didn't. I just watched them, and they were swimming below as part of the scene. And I felt like as Heather was saying, I knew there were other swimmers with me, but I felt totally alone. I felt I was in my space. I felt I was so connected to the earth, which I've been my whole life. But on this day, I just felt this incredible connection to the mother and floating there, literally in her waters, in her life's blood, in her fluids. And I'm just swimming along, enjoying this. And one of the guides, I think it was John, came and put a hand on my shoulder. It took me a minute to even realize somebody was touching me. And I looked, and I'm looking at him, wondering, okay, do we need to leave? And he's just pointing. And so I turned to look, and to my right was this gigantic grouper who looked like the size of a whale. And he was enormous. I don't know if he was the size of a whale, but he was enormous. And he's just hanging there, and he's literally about 8 feet away from me. I was so busy with the seafloor below me, I hadn't experienced him. And I lost some air as I got excited. And I looked to John, and he's smiling from ear to ear and nodding. And as I'm watching this enormous grouper, John just again taps me, and he points over here. And I look to my left, and there's another one. So we're hanging between two of these behemoths of the ocean. Absolutely no fear. And I mean, we could have been lunch, but I don't think they eat. Well, they wouldn't want a human diet anyway. They'd probably spit us out. But we probably hung there for 15 or 20 minutes. It seemed like a week and a half with these two gigantic creatures, one on each side. And the others who were with us came. So there were 4 of us there, just experiencing this incredible energy. I could hear these huge grouper talking to me. I could hear them in my spirit. I could hear them in my soul. I'm sure I was crying. I couldn't tell because I had on my gear and I was in the ocean. But I certainly was crying on the inside, but in a good way, obviously. And after hanging there for that period of time, we went back to the little boat from the preserve that took us there. And we just sat there for a while. And then we turned out and went out a little ways further. And they said, okay, we need to experience something else now. We're not complete. Okay, where are we going now? How can we be more complete than floating between these two behemoths? And I wanted to stay there all day, to be truthful. But they needed to go out and do some other work they were doing. We came to the blue hole, which is this enormous and incredibly deep, I don't even know if they know how deep it is, area in the ocean. It's known around the world. And they decided, we're going to snorkel out over the blue hole. Said, you'll see things you'd never see. There's fish and other sea life that come up from the bottom of this deep thing. Occasionally you see them that you'll never see because they exist way down deep. And only some of them can even come up to that point. And so we started swimming out there, and my fear of heights kicked in because now there's this expanse below me. You can't see anything except down and dark. You can see the blue changing as it goes down. And I almost panicked, and I felt the grouper beside me again, even though they were 10 miles the other way, maybe more. So I was able to hang there, kind of between the earth and the universe is how I felt. And just feeling what was going on. And feeling the temples I'd seen the day before and understanding that connection and the connection between all of life. And I don't know how long we were there. I don't think it was too long, but I honestly couldn't tell you. And then we went back to land and we went into the water. My Belizean friends, 2 of them were native divers. So they can go down without equipment and stay down for 5 minutes, 6 minutes. And they came back with the bounty that the ocean gave us, some lobster, which luckily were in season at this point, and we were not in the deep part of the preserve then. and we proceeded to have lobster on the shore of the waters. And so today, much like Tanya was saying and Heather was saying, I can go there anytime at all. I haven't gone there for a while, but that's what came to me today. And now I'm coming back to the reality of now. I think these are the things we need to be doing and sharing. And as soon as we can, we need to get out there again, because we need to go together to these places. As Tanya was saying, there was people all over that temple, but there was nobody in that temple except her. And that's the feeling we can get that allows us to heal ourselves with light and love. And in so doing, helps the earth to heal so that we can be here. We can stay here. We can help heal all these things that we have caused on the planet that are not in a positive way. And that's my story for now. Does anyone else want to, maybe we want to do just a listing of other, I don't know how much time we have left, a listing of other sacred places that come to us?
Well, as you were talking, I was reminded of two things I experienced in the water, very similar to, not well, similar, I guess, in how the impact it had on me. One was in Hawaii. We were taking a trip and swimming in the ocean, and a pod of dolphins passed underneath us. And it was just like time stood still for a moment. I just looked down and there are these, I don't even know, it was just all dolphin, all dolphins. And there was like a mama dolphin with her little baby dolphin, and I could feel the baby, I could feel the mom, like being the mama, you know, or the feeling of the, what I imagined that would be like as a mother. I'm not one, but that was the feeling I experienced in the moment. And another moment of crying as I'm wearing my snorkeling gear and I'm filling my water with my mask with water. It was just incredibly beautiful. And so, yeah, it felt like a sacred moment and felt so blessed that I had the opportunity to do that. And the other time that came to mind, I was swimming with my brother and we were in Costa Rica, and we were in very shallow waters, just kind of paddling around, and people had told us, just go over there, there's lots of fish and you get to see so much beauty and corals. And we're just like paddling around and we're not seeing anything. Everything's kind of gray and kind of, you know, and all of a sudden the both of us just went like that underwater, trying to get the other one's attention, and like, look, and just this amazing beauty of the most amazing, beautiful, colorful fish that were right there, right in front of us. All of a sudden, this whole thing just opened up and all this beauty showed up. And both my brother and I, just like with massive smiles on our faces, just waving at each other and like, look, making sure the other one doesn't miss anything, because we so wanted to share the beauty of that moment with the other person. Anyway, that's just what sort of popped up as you were talking and speaking about your experience with the groupers, and what a beautiful experience. I could feel that too as you were talking, and the size, and amazing.
Yeah, the beauty is right in front of us. We just have to allow ourselves to see it. Heather, you got another one that comes to you?
Jim, it's so funny. I talked to my father a few nights ago on the telephone, and it exactly what we're talking about. I was telling him, like, Egypt, 3 right there, the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, and the pyramids. And my daughter is afraid of water to swim where she can't see what she's swimming in. And in Alexandria, in the north of Egypt, there's the Mediterranean, and it was the first time in her life that she enjoyed swimming in a large body of water because it was so clear. And this was Alexandria, I think, is the second largest city in Egypt. I mean, there's so many people the day and night, the streets are flooded with people. And one Egyptian said that there's people who stay up all night and sleep during the day, because if we were all out during the day, there's so many of us, we couldn't even fit on the streets. So, I mean, this is a very crowded city, and the water was completely pure. And my daughter was playing and laughing. And then I was telling my father, we took a bus to Hurghada on the Red Sea. And, you know, I didn't know anything. What am I supposed to expect? What is going to happen? And we, first time we laid eyes on the Red Sea, I just started laughing. And I said, is this really? It was like just every blue that the divine palette could paint. The divine, is that a palette? The artist, you know, on the, I was blown away. And my daughter and I we stayed at this really cheap, like $3 a night hostel, free breakfast. I don't know how we pull some of this stuff off, but they gave us the little snorkel, you know, is that what it's called, where you breathe and the tube comes up? And
Yep.
we found this reef. And just like you said, Tanya, I was like, I cried, because you can see it's like the fish home, the schools of fish, and all these different, and then the school of fish, the little, you know, groups and all this. And it was like, this is the water world. This is the universe. This is the water kingdom, you know. And then I was telling my father, we took a train and a bus and a series of mini buses to get to Giza. And Giza is basically an extension of Cairo. We didn't know anything. So we're sitting on this bus, a little minibus, falling apart minibus. And I'm starting to get like almost irritated. Like, where are these things? I've been waiting my whole life. I'm 41. Where are these pyramids? Come on, I can't wait any longer. And then I start thinking, what if they're not real? What if this was like a conspiracy theory? They're not real. Where are they? And my daughter, I'm nudging her like, Rady, what? And she's like, I don't know, Mom. Like, Mom, I don't know. And after maybe a minute after that, she just nudged me and said, it's hard to talk about without crying. She said, like, Mom, look. And it was like, God. Oh my God. Like, there they were. Just all this city. And then you look and there they are, just waiting. It was absolutely mind blowing. And we're basically African citizens. So we got to enter for the local people's price to go to the pyramids. So we went every day. We went almost every day and packed some food, and we would just go and sit, because the pyramids have temples outside of them. So we would just go sit in these temples all day and just close our eyes and just like be with them. And yeah, I'm cutting myself off, but yes.
Beautiful.
Just want to add, I just feel such deep connection right now, Heather, that we've walked some of the same paths.
Yep. Me too.
Just really touched me. I'm like, oh my God, I walked there as well. I did that exact same thing. That is so amazing.
Is that similar to how you felt?
Oh, wow. Is it similar to how I felt? I was just, I was in awe, just like driving, because I didn't know what to expect either. And like, you were on this little bus and we're getting getting transported over there, and all of a sudden there's like pyramids, and it's just this, wow, they're very impressive, and something about the energy there is really, really different.
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel like I didn't really that happened at a time where I probably wasn't quite as awake yet and quite as conscious. And so I didn't look at it in the same way that I probably would today. But what I could feel, it's like this deep resonance, like inside, or this deep sort of feeling throughout my body of just vibration of the pyramids. I'm not sure how to explain that any better than that, but I could just feel the pyramids vibrations, I guess. It was just really cool. And just right now was just like the connection that we've both been there and walked in the same places, and the Red Sea, and that's so
The
awesome.
Red Sea is overpowering. Weren't you blown away by the colors?
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah. Some beautiful places.
see, this is the connection. It's just what I call source energy. And it's available right now to all three of us together. I'm in a hotel room, you're at home, Jim's at home. We don't have to be in the sacred site, but we're in the sacred site right now because we're connected to source energy. And source energy is available through the plant kingdom, the water kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom. But as human beings, it's like we've settled for existing on this lower dimension of quarreling and finding all the things we don't like about each other instead of the resonating oneness and beauty that is all. It doesn't matter if we agree. It doesn't matter if we're different. That's the point. That's the channel. That's the channel, is getting back to this divine source, is because we disagree, because we're different. That's how we get back to the divine, not because we all agree and we're all the same. And no, because we're all so profoundly and intricately different. That is our oneness. It's our channel together, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm feeling like I'm in many, many places at once, which happens to me at times. But I'm right with both of you again too. And it's interesting. We've spent time in Colorado together at different times, but now here we are, scattered around, and yet still connected and sharing these stories, and how incredibly important they are, because this is the way for us to move forward, or not. I mean, this is the way for us to end if we don't come together and learn how to do these things and connect and follow the teachings of all the prophecies of so many cultures. Many of them arose in the parts of the world we're talking about now. You guys are talking about the Red Sea, and that's where part of my DNA comes from, as my Romani Gypsy blood. But as you're doing that, I'm thinking of the Painted Desert, which is similar, but it's a desert scene instead of a water scene. These things are everywhere around us, and we need to get out to them again. And today I'm seeing it so clearly, thanks to you guys. What we can do online here is incredible, and we will be sharing more and more of these, and we're going to be inviting others in our group to share their stories. But we need to get to these places again too, together, collectively. Even if it's a small number of us can get there and then send things out from those places. That's how we're going to heal. That's how we give the earth space to breathe again. That's how we go to the next level that we have to go to. We cannot stay the way we are. We cannot go back to the way we were. It was wrong. We were wrong. Even some of us have been taught this for years. We allowed it to get beyond us. We thought it was all going to take care of itself, and it won't. We have to. And it's easy because the earth has given us those things. all the stories we're sharing here this morning and all the others we could share, those are gifts. Those are teachings from the primary teacher, the earth herself, and bringing back in that feminine part of the story so we can balance out. So that this has just been some amazing time for me this morning. I hope as you all see this, we're going to put this up as a separate special selection on the 22nd, I think, because it's long enough. It needs to be sat with by itself. And also on the 22nd, I think at 4 o'clock Eastern time, if you all can figure out what time that is for you, we will have 6 or 7 folks, we may be some of them, offering their stories around water and nature as well. So let's keep the dialogue up. Let's just keep going. And I'm thinking, who wants to? Maybe Tanya. Do you want to close this out, or do we have more to say?
I'm feeling very complete with what we've shared so far. I think this has been an amazing time to spend a Tuesday morning. I have absolutely loved it. Thank you so much for suggesting this, and for having me here. And yeah, it was very, very enriching this morning. I really appreciated being part of this circle. And I so agree with you. We need to get back to sacred sites. We all need to get back to connection. And from that place, I think our actions are going to look very, very different, very much more inspired than in our just day-to-day, everyday ego mind, like Heather was saying earlier. And then like, gotta make money, gotta do this, gotta work, whatever, right? And not getting anywhere and feeling the disconnect and all of that. But instead come together again and feel that oneness that we've been talking about this morning. So yeah, I think that's about all I have in oneness.
Good. Heather, anything to finish with? Except I wonder who did suggest this. I think the earth did, because I don't think it came from any of us. We all
came to, yesterday we had such a great talk and we were like, okay, this is what we need.
Yep.
Earth needs our love, our awareness, our surrender. And that's the balance that we've been missing. Like the environmental groups and all of the scientific approaches, pollution control and all of this it's necessary, but it's not the full scope of what we need to be doing. We've been receiving and receiving and receiving, but we need to complete the circle by giving so that we can receive again. We give our surrender. We realize that without Mother Earth, we don't have breath. We don't have the breath in our lungs. We don't have anything. We don't have a humanity. We don't have anything without the earth. The earth has given us an opportunity to be here, right? So I think for me, it's like I feel very depleted when my relationship with Mother Earth isn't as good as it should be. Like if my daughter and I haven't spent quality time together, like she's been doing school, I've been working on my projects, and there's an imbalance in our relationship, I feel that it affects everything else. Well, I have the same thing with Mother Earth. It's like, I need to go on a date, like let's have a date. But I need that relationship to be solid, or I don't have a work relationship. I don't have a relationship in all other parts of my life, because that relationship between me and the earth is so important for everything else that I'm doing, So no, thank you both for this platform. I think if more people had a platform to just open their heart, open the soul, trust enough to be sincere and vulnerable and fearless, then we could accomplish, Jim, a lot of what you're doing, and a lot more of what we should all be doing if more people had this platform.
Good point. So everybody who watches this, listens to this, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for experiencing it. Share it around. Like Heather said, share it around. There will be platforms. Storytellers Lodge, White Otter Academy, and a lot of others, not just ours. Look for those platforms. Young people who hear this, please incorporate this spiritual part in what you're doing. We're behind you 1,000%, but this part is equally important. And so let's move together, and I'll just end it with Minnie Wakani, water is life.
Mhm.